Welcome back to your weekly series of learning hieroglyphics on the internets. That's what this is, right? YouTube, part of the grand internets. I'm your host, Scott Toy Guru Neitlich, if you've been watching any other videos on Spector Creative. But this series is dedicated to learning ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. And to do that, we need to build our vocabulary. Because if we're going to start making sentences, we can't just use structure. We actually have to know what to fill those sentences with. But before we jump into that, let's do a quick review of where we were for the last few weeks, because we dove headfirst into verbs and tenses. So a quick look at that. So first we looked at the general present, which is when doubling verbs double, and you get a preposition before it. So in this case, the F, the horned viper, is he. So he saw, he heard. That's the general present. All right, next up we have the infinitive, and in the infinitive, the ing form of the verb. So love to loving, you add a T to weak and extra weak verbs. That's your clue that you're dealing with this tense. And yes, it's kind of like picking out clues and being a sleuth. Next we have the specific present. So this takes the infinitive form, the ing, with that T, with the weak and the extra weak, but it adds is or are beforehand, which is the her, the face, with a stroke line. And then finally, we looked at the past form, which is going to take the an N, which is like ed, which is at the end. You are not going to double verbs, and then you're going to lead with an auxiliary, which is ew, IW, and that just means we're going into the past. All right, so as I noted and have said, all of the verb tenses have different clues built in to sort of tell you which tense you're in. And before we tackle the relative form and the participle, because they do not have English equivalents, we're going to build up a little vocabulary. We will get to those, and we will get to the past forms as well. Another thing to review is the suffix pronouns. So we've talked a lot about these, I, you feminine, plural, he, she, we, and they. Absolute words you want to memorize, put on flashcards because they're going to come up a lot. And again, words like I could also mean me or my. It's the same word. So that's just how Egyptian works. All right, so jumping into the vocabulary, we're going to start with a little bit of review as well, since we haven't done these words in quite a few weeks. Starting with pronouns. So there's a lot of pronouns in Egyptian that are single glyphs, but have multiple meanings, like M, the owl, can be in, with, from, or as, again, depending on the sentence. And also N, the water, can be to, towards, or for a person. So if you're saying to a man, or to a king, or to a servant, or for a servant. So that works when you're going towards a person or a human, an individual. Likewise, if you're going towards a place, the pronoun becomes are, which is the mouth. Again, to, towards, or at, since at works for a place, not for. But same concept, same type of pronoun. And then by, which is the papyrus and the water, in. So if you're saying that you're doing, like someone is, the throwing is done by the man, or the fishing is done by the pharaoh, or the king, or the woman. That's the sense of by, like a pronoun. And then finally, with, which is hana, which is the flax, the water, and then the hand, ha-na, with. I tend to think of it as you want to hang out with Hannah, even though it's hana. I don't know, just the crazy way I think of it. So, with. So we have in, to, towards, by, and with. All right. Nouns. Again, a little bit of a review, but we'll throw in some new words too, and we're going to get deeper. Man, which is S, and that's followed by a determinative of the man sitting. And it could be done without it. So if you just see an S by itself, it's man. If you see an S by itself with a T, it's woman, because T is the feminine form of words. Just like how French and Spanish have feminine. And then, of course, we change the determinative from a man to a woman. So st is a woman, s is a man. You just basically add the feminine ending to man, and it becomes woman. Then here's another one, najisu. which means ordinary person or individual. And you'll notice that it ends before the determinative of a person with the U or the W sound, the weak bird. This is a letter that always signifies something either being weak or evil or bad. So in this case, an ordinary person, an individual is weak. It's just one single person. So anytime you see a word ending in this glyph, that's what it means. We'll see that in a moment with some adjectives. So first up is nefer, good or wonderful, which if you were going to read it literally be nefer, fur, but you remove the extra F and R because they're repeat sounds from the three-consonant sound that is the first hieroglyph, which is actually nefer. This can be good or wonderful. Next we have bin, bad or evil. And look, there you go. There's our little weak bird again, which also means bad or evil. So again, any word that has that as the last letter, that's a clue that you're dealing with a word that means bad, evil, or small. And then now we have ikker, excellent or effective, astute. And you'll notice it ends with the determinative of the papyrus because that is a thing. Being excellent is a description, is a thing. All right, verbs. So we've done a lot of verbs, but to remind you of the meaning, we have sidim, to hear. We have saput, which means to bind, like you're going to tie something together with cords. Amcha, which is to throw. Amah. I think I said amha. I added an H there. Amma. To throw, which is the hand, the owl, the hand, and the vulture. And then finally, ma'ah, to see, one of our classic doubling verbs where the determinative is moved to the front simply for, well, it looks better that way. And a lot of times, as I noted earlier, that's how it works. All right, here's your assignment. Here is a full sentence using words we just went through. Freeze frame this, read it through, and we'll be back next week where I will take you through it. But see if you can do it on your own. Your first homework assignment. So good luck with this. Hopefully I wrote it out correctly. I'm sure I did. I checked it twice. And we'll return next week, and we'll go over the translation. And on that second line, that first letter, the N, I had to kind of squeeze that in. That should be in front of the T. All right. Next time we'll pick up there. We'll go through that sentence. But again, give it a go. See if you can translate it and transliterate it yourself as a homework assignment for the week. I'll see you next week here on Doodling with Purpose. And again, if you like this series, please do give it a like. It helps the channel a ton and tells YouTube to share it with more people. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.